Hello, happy Saturday, and also happy National Sew a Jelly Roll Day. So for those of you that don't know, the third Saturday in September has been designated as National Sew a Jelly Roll Day. So it's kind of excited to get your pre-cuts going, get something sewn today. And so last year I made my first National Sew a Jelly Roll Day video, and that was with the Tiffany quilt using the Chantilly Jelly Roll from Island Batik. And so this year I wanted to keep with that same theme, and with wedding planning and everything, I was like, I need another quilt that's just a jelly roll to make the quilt top. And so I found just what I needed, headed over to Villa Rosa and found this design, and I picked this up at Cali Quilt Co. And it was a perfect little pattern. That quilt top is just made with a jelly roll. And so I wanted something that was gonna look cool in this, and so we also at Cali Quilt Co. we're having a Island Batik Precut, and so 10 squares and layer cake sale, and so I picked up this fun one, and I don't know, something about it just spoke to me. Also, I had my coworker that was like, hey, I use this one. I was like, I like it, sold. And so I think the black and whites are gonna pair up nicely because that's the first thing I need to do. So what my game plan for this video is we're gonna make this whole quilt start to finish together. So everything from cutting these up, sewing them together, cutting them back up again, doing all the things you need to do to make the blocks, make the quilt top, get the quilting, finish it up. And I do have a planned participant for this, but I can't say it quite yet because their birthday may be coming up in the second half of the year, or they could be, I don't know, good Christmas gift to be determined. So secret's still locked up as to who this could be for, but I have some plans. And so I'm very excited. I've already got my quilting ideas. I've got everything in my brain kind of bouncing around. So let's go ahead. Let's sew some strips together. I've got to pair them up first. So I'm going to pair up my darks with my lights and see how it goes from there. And then we're going to see how this mazed quilt top comes together. So let's get to work. So this is what everything all paired up looks like. I tried to balance it out the best. I know I've got some very stark white ones, very black ones. I tried to pair everything up with a black and white. We'll see how that all comes together in the end, but now I've got to sew all of these in their pairs with the fabric. So 44 inches, a whole bunch of times. Here we go. So I've now followed the instructions on the pattern card and cut my jelly roll strips up to their different segment sizes. And so what I'm going to do is start making my blocks. So in the instructions, it shows a visual of having like a light and a dark for the placements. So I'm going to treat my light as the black and white print and then the dark as the black on black print so that everything stays consistent through my blocks. And then before I know it, I'm going to have 20 blocks, I think. And I think this is going to come together real quick. So we'll be making this quilt top in no time. So now I've got all 20 of my blocks all done. I'm going to double check and make sure they all meet the 12.5-inch measurement as they should. And then next time you see me, I'm going to be putting these on the design wall. But here's a little peek. I think the black and white and the black turned out so good. I think it's going to be super fun. So what I went ahead and did here is I split up my pairings by the print that is on here, the black and white print, and then kind of put them in two separate piles. So then I would just kind of work my way through. And then once I hit the repeat, make sure they were on opposite sides of each other. Like these two are opposite. These guys are opposite and kind of works that way. The main two that I wanted to make sure they were away from each other was this one because it is the lightest one. So luckily I've got one here and then one over here on this side, which I think balances out really well. And then the other thing I wanted to make sure of was on some of my black on blacks, I had to fill in a couple because I ditched some of the white on white because they were just very stark, if you saw any of those at the beginning. And so I cut those out completely and just replaced them with some yardage. So I wanted to make sure that my background, these darker ones, weren't going to be a clump of the same dots. So I've got some similar dots kind of touching each other, but not the same one, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and get these off the design wall, sew them all together, and then I'm going to have a quilt top in no time. And just like that, 4 blocks across, 5 rows down, it's all complete. So I'm really liking how this turned out. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get my backing, which I have an idea of what I want. And I haven't decided if I'm gonna do a colored thread yet or if I'm gonna do a black thread. Because at first I was thinking a little pop of color in the quilting would be really cool. But then, I don't know, the black and white is just really kind of classy and kind of nice. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I know what my backing is gonna be though. It's gonna be a fun little pop of a little bit of character, literally. So I'm gonna go get that at work and then we'll be back and it's gonna be loaded on the long arm. So I've got my quilt top, I've got my batting, which is the Quilter's Dream Request, and I've got my backing, which is this character print from Easy Fabrics. This is the licensed print that they started carrying, and I think it's going to be super fun. Give it a little Halloween flair on the back without being super obviously Halloween and can stay out for a little bit longer. And Trixie is here to get it started. Are you ready? So our first zone is basted in, and after much debate, I decided to just go with black thread. I think it's going to look real nice and classy on here. I had some thoughts of glow in the dark and other things, but I think black is just the right decision with how this quilt is looking. And I'm going to do this double bubble. I think it's going to kind of contrast the angles of the maze design really well, and also coordinate with these really well. So I'm going to get it all started and stitch out some zones. So I've now reached the last zone. Everything is all quilted and ready to go. So now I have to figure out in my chaotic living room how I'm going to lay this out to trim it all up. So if this is wedged between two couches and a couple coffee tables just to get the height and space that I need to trim this up, now you know. And you'll get the full moving experience of quilting in chaos. So I'm going to take this off, trim it up, and put some binding on. and it is now the reveal of the Mazed quilt in honor of National Sew and Jelly Roll Day. I'm sure some of you saw me putting on the binding and were going, purple? Why purple? Well, let me tell you, I surveyed my Instagram followers to say, hey, here's the front of the quilt, here's a peek at the back of the quilt. What color should I do the binding? And I did purple and I did black because I was looking on black on black, and the results were very much in favor of purple. And the more I thought about it, the more, I don't know, it just felt right. And so the purple's there on the front and it kind of ties it into the back, giving it an overall coordination. But I think this turned out really cool. I saw somebody in the shop already do it in like blues and kind of Christmassy looking colors, wintry colors. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. I think it's a great little pattern. It's kind of trippy on your eyes with the black and white, but what better way to wrap up a black and white quilt than one of my little black and white Elroy quilt tags. So I'm very excited with how this turned out. It was a good quilt. It was a quick quilt, only 20 blocks, 12 inches finished. And let's see, let's do the height test. It comes up to about there on me, so pretty close to size of some of the 3-yard quilts. The potential recipient is a little bit shorter than me, like everybody in this world. So this will be a good size for them for their couch, just to hang out with, and all sorts of fun. So there's a peek at the back. You can kind of see those circles from the double bubble quilted in there. And it was just a whole lot of fun. So I hope you all have a fun, enjoyable National Sew and Jelly Roll Day. I hope you sew something fun or have sewn something fun with a jelly roll. And now let's take a look at some final photos. And we'll probably be back next year for another National Sew and Jelly Roll Day. But in the meantime, we'll see you next time.